Awaken.
What? Hello? What's happening? Oh!
Awaken.
Hello? What's going on? Is there? Oh my God!
Awaken.
Well, I never. How dare you? Oh my word!
Hello, my fellow hunters. Remember our good old friends, well, arch-tempered monsters? Yeah, not everybody's cup of tea. However, imagine, if you will, that perhaps perchance in Iceborne, we don't get, well, arch-tempered monsters, we get something new entirely. Something known as awakened monsters, courtesy of safi'jiiva royally screwing up the ecosystem. Now, this is just a complete theoretical bit of fun, based loosely off a so-called leak that happened, but let's be real here. There is no reason whatsoever to believe this is anything more than just someone going, "Ha! This would be cool," and there is no reason to think this will actually happen, but there is a lot of, that's actually really cool going on here, and I kind of want to talk about this concept of awakened monsters, because it lets you do the arch-tempered system in a way that doesn't have everyone just going, So how does this work? Well, safi'jiiva, as we know, is the one responsible for reshaping the guiding lands and opening new paths. He changes the environment itself with his energy draining and manipulation shenanigans on a destruction scale that threatened the whole new world, if we are to believe our friendly neighborhood NPCs. Granted, the most destructive thing we've seen him do so far is open a corridor.
Am I going crazy, or was this opening not here before?
Behold my power!
Well, let's take that with a pinch of salt and assume that he does, lore-wise, actually have a much deeper impact, which, let's be honest, he more than likely does. With his demise, well, there is no one supping on all that just bubbling excess energy found in his den, and, well, it seeps out into the new world, and once it has seeped out, it's going to seep in to other monsters, thus awakening them. So, how does that actually alter them? Firstly, I do love the idea that this huge apocalyptic level, not technically a black dragon, but still one of the most powerful creatures we've ever seen, actually completely alters the ecosystem while alive, but then his death is now a missing piece that causes even more chaos around, well, everywhere. It's very typically Hunter-y in that this whole thing would come about from a, maybe we shouldn't have just killed on sight. Do you ever think, guys, we should stop doing this whole kill on sight thing, because like we really keep fucking up? But you know, we killed him on sight, and now the energy has pulsed out and is being absorbed passively by, well, our roster of monsters. So once a creature is awakened, and it can be all tiers of monsters from your great Jagras all your way to your elder dragons, it gains the increased damage, it gains the increased health, it gains a new set of moves and a few alterations to its combos, essentially arch-tempered, but a bit more like at least a new move and a new way of doing things, not just a raw stat increase, but definitely a raw stat increase too. And then visually, and this is what I really like, instead of just a kind of more metallic sheen, they actually get parts of them that glow, like Safi glows when he absorbs energy. They have little bits just kind of sparking with this excess energy, and that's how you identify them. And instead of arch-tempered orange, they are awakened red, in honor of, well, the red dragon. And every single monster is supposedly going to be receiving this treatment. So the idea of the world's most powerful glowing death Jagras charging at you is actually something that is rather amusing to me. And I'll be honest, initially, if you'd have been like, yo, give an arch-tempered to every monster, it would be like, really? Do we want to be going to hunt arch-tempered Kulu, you fucking coo? What the fuck? But the more I think about it, the more it would work, right? Because you don't have to have awakened monsters on the other maps. You can have them in the Guiding Lands, which is what Safi is actually affecting, right? That's where he's closest to. Which means the Guiding Lands themselves could have been surged with the energy, and every monster, except Biotonus and Gyarados, is in the Guiding Lands, so therefore it follows that every monster has an affected, awakened version, because they're all there, and they're all getting this energy seeping into them. It's a way to not just exclusively make it Elder Dragons, which broadens the appeal massively, broadens the amount of content there is actually to do massively, and if we're going to believe this, every single new monster getting an awakened gamma set that needs an absolute metric ton of materials, well, that suddenly gives us a hell of a lot to do, and that is one very effective and interesting way of adding a huge injection of content without needing, well, new monsters completely. It would be a very smart decision, I feel like, and if we suddenly have this slew of, well, awakened monsters, that actually gives us a target for our safi'jiiva weapons and equipment, because we have been power creeped quite heavily with his introduction, but we've not got anything to really use it on or challenge us or anything, and sure, we'll get a new monster in the coming months, but that's not really going to be enough, right? So if the entire roster got a, well, a super awakened form, then now we're talking, now we're being challenged again, and there's a lot more to work to. You could just have the Guiding Lands, each zone go up to level 8 instead of 7 now, and at level 8 you start seeing awakened monsters pop up, and they can be, well, of literally anything that can be in that biome. That is already a system that sort of neatly ties itself together, and it's why this one of all of them is something I actually want to talk about, because supposed leaks happen constantly, right? It's like, yeah, okay, yeah, that'd be whatever, right? But this, it kind of really does tie into the fabric of the game, like the bedrock of what they've built, like it's something they were planning. Now, one thing here is, supposedly it is always multiplayer, and I know when people hear that a hunt is only multiplayer, we kind of get a...
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit. Fuck.
And sure, I do agree, everything in Monster Hunter should be reasonably soloable, because, well, Monster Hunter should be completely fine to play as a solo hunter. I love doing that. It's how I've done all of them until World, really. I've only dabbled with online stuff back in the realm of double 140 Rajang. And, well, actually, that's a good point. They were scaled much higher in health, and if you didn't have a full team doing them, you were in for one hell of a time. So there is definitely reason to think that they are fine with doing multiplayer scaled only. That, of course, we've had multiplayer scaled only already multiple times in World, so it's the biggest thing that says that this might not be true, but I don't think it's a nail in the coffin, really. So how you actually acquire these awakened monsters is you find special tracks of them glowing and crackling on the ground, like when you were hunting down Pink Rathian, for example, way back when, and then you unlock a special investigation for them, an awakened investigation. Now, that obviously doesn't mention the Guiding Lands level 8 idea I just had, and I feel like that would be a more interesting way to do it than just get tracks and then get an investigation. But I guess tracks and, well, an investigation that you just go on, post the hunt like normal, it is a much easier way to do it, though definitely not as interesting, I would say. And then you can find all the monsters but Elder Dragons through this system, find their tracks, get their investigation, but awakened Elder Dragons will only be event quests, like the Arch-Tempereds were. They are to wait for them to rotate round to actually go on them. So that kind of ties in with what they've done before, giving us the super powerful ones that we want, the Gamma, Awakened, Elder Armor sets on a rotation, but then let us get on with getting all the others through a little bit of perpetual new gameplay in farming these awakened tracks. Now, awakened monsters supposedly have a ridiculously good chance at dropping rare decorations. This makes sense to me. It works, right? You now have this new level of challenge, new level of monster itself, so we can start actually somewhat more regularly getting the decorations that, let's be honest, me and bloody everyone else has been missing. I don't know anyone who has a double attack or agitator or another double crit. I just don't don't know anyone. They don't exist. I swear to God. I still, right, okay, I have so many hours in Iceborne, and I do not even have a tenderizer with anything. I've not had a single level 4 tenderizer, but I don't mind. I don't mind. So, as I was saying, this is a great way to let people really buff out their decoration collection. And the thing is, that's what I kind of dig about this supposed leak, is that everything does tie together in a way that goes, yeah, that kind of makes sense from a gameplay system standpoint, you know, that everything kind of loops in, ties together, both lore, how it's implemented, what it would let players do, nothing seems too ridiculous, and supposedly we're going to get a trailer for this on the 5th, as in, well, 2 days from now, just when Safi Siege finishes, or when Safi is defeated. So that would be kind of a neat bow to tie it up, isn't it? And like safi'jiiva, every weapon can tenderize these in one tenderization attack instead of the 2 from the light weapons. This is another thing that makes me go, huh, okay then, because it's a big complaint, and as we've seen, Capcom has very much been adjusting the systems to make them a lot fairer, a lot more balanced, a lot more fun as we've been going through Iceborne, because a lot of them are new and experimental, and, well, now adding actual and endgame whole slew of awakened monsters that actually alleviate the light weapon's biggest concern of having to tenderize twice being so much work and just irritating is a very, very smart way to do it without actually altering the base way of the weapons working in that double tenderizing needed. So I kind of dig that. So of course these guys drop a unique material, and then you need super rare materials from other monsters to help craft into their armor. And that is kind of, well, the way we go. Super powerful, glowing, Safi energied, awakened monsters that all have their own gamma armor sets that come across every single monster that is in Iceborne, all of them with their gamma sets, all of them working very similar to how Safi worked, and giving us an entire suite of new endgame content to dig into and explore, and a lot of it makes some sense, and a lot of it has grounds to think that, yeah, I could totally see them doing this. So that's kind of the TLDR of how all this would go down. So the question really, guys, is, do you buy it? So, for me, I think everything almost makes sense. I think everything almost would be a positive addition to the game. I think it would be fun to go after, well, glowy super everything. Do I think it's real? I'm gonna go in a really non-committal, chiefly because I can see how all of this would be implemented in a way that makes it look like it's been planned from the start, and a way that makes sense, and a way that is healthy for the game with no real kind of negatives. So I'm gonna go for a real non-committal 50-50, okay? I am just gonna go for a 50-50. It would be cool if it did, and I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't. That's my takeaway, alright? So yeah, really going for that one, aren't I? My word. Alright, guys, let us know what you think of the idea of awakened monsters. But until next time, like and enjoy this, subscribe for more. A good boy.
Rage Gaming with the video float.
But that's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you even though the outro's no longer that kind of relevant. But the new one's being worked on and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.